The Killer Growth Podcast starts now.
Hey guys, welcome to the Killer Growth Podcast. Sam McVeigh here. Today I've got Mike Proctor here with StewardRight, a financial advisory firm. Excited to hang out and talk to you about how we can all make more money.
Well, awesome. Hope I can help.
That's the if you can't, then we're not airing the episode. So if I don't know where to put my money after this, that's it.
Okay.
All right, dude. Well, let's keep it simple. I've known you for 7 months now. I was thinking about that driving in today.
It hasn't been that long.
6 months, 5 months. Anyway, not that long.
Yeah.
So I know a little bit of your story, but I think I'm going to learn some stuff, which I'm excited about. But let's just start with, how'd you get started in financial advising to where you are today?
Yeah. So I got my finance degree from K-State. And while I was going to college, my plan was to go to law school when I was done, but then it turned into 5 years. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm ready to kind of work. And it was in 08 and 09, out of that, the attorney market demand kind of collapsed. So when I graduated, there were a lot of attorneys that weren't actually finding jobs. Figured that'd be my backup career, but I really enjoyed what I came to know in the Navigators campus ministry program, which was a lot of discipleship, but you sit down and you talk one-on-one with people. I got to love getting to know other people, and something that was really important to me was leadership and working on growing leadership within the home. And there's only so many industries that maybe you can have any effect on that to get to that level of inner circle work. I was like, I'm good with math, and I'm good at money stuff, or at least I thought I was at the time, and love getting to know people. So I was like, these kind of come together in this space of financial planning and investment advisory, and gave it a shot. And 15 years later, here we are.
What was your first shot? What was the first time you were actually?
I started off with a large insurance company that did insurance. They did some investments. They were just cracking the seal on more financial planning type stuff at the time. I was there for 5.5 years and realized I think my ladder was against the wrong wall. And for a serious career in helping people grow their money, I made a change.
So that changed. Talk me through that. You went from that to, what does that look like?
I wasn't quite ready. Actually, it was an identity crisis, to be totally honest. Because
so you have a job, you're at a big place.
I was so bought into what I was doing, believed in it so much. It was a breakdown identity crisis for me of, holy cow, I got to make a change. I've made so many commitments to people of I'm never going to leave. And like, I was totally bought in. I went to another company that probably had more flexibility to it, but I did that for a year. I ran into the same problems that were showing up in different ways. And then I finally got ready to go ahead and start my own RIA firm. Registered investment advisory firm. That's where I actually set up the company. I registered directly with the state of Kansas, was my first one. We're registered in Colorado now. We have an open registration in Texas as well. So we're working on that approval process, and before too long, we'll actually be SEC registered, which really doesn't mean anything to anybody else. It's just who we answer to for our jurisdiction. But I'd always been told that's a really complicated, difficult process, and it wasn't easy, but it's been worth it. Very worth it.
Talk about that transition, because that's not just hey, I'm going to do this overnight thing. I'm assuming you had your job and then you just did it and you started your own firm, or
pretty much. I threw myself into figuring it out, and you have to write up documents to say, here's what our agreements are with our clients. Here's our disclosures. There's formats for how you describe and do all that. And I threw myself into just writing it, figuring it out, at least on the legal and registration side. The state of Kansas was very helpful. They actually want firms, if they're going to give you an approval, They definitely want you to have some industry experience, which I had at the time. Before I started, I had my CFP for several years by then. And they're like, yeah, okay, but here's how you go about it. They help me in that process. They don't want you to start off on the wrong foot. And I was doing everything. I was wearing all the hats to start. Very low revenue, of course, when you start at making 1% of virtually nothing under management.
Yeah. It's not a lot.
You make it happen, but it starts really, really, really slow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a partner in the beginning or just you?
Nope.
Okay.
Me and the Lord.
Yep.
I mean, I was married, but
yeah, sure. So it gets going. What was the most difficult part about getting I'm assuming getting your first client might have happened fairly quickly just because you were already in the industry, you knew people.
I had some clients. My non-compete had worn off with Northwestern Mutual by then.
Okay.
And I had some clients, but I didn't have a lot of assets under management. I started doing subscription-based financial planning, and I was doing financial planning on a monthly retainer. We still have some of that business, but at the beginning, it was probably a good 60% of our business of how I was actually making money, because I didn't have a lot under management. And at the time, I was getting paid after a complete quarter had ended. So even though it was a small amount, I got paid 4 times a year.
Gotcha.
And
on your management
with our advisory business.
Oh, on the advisory side.
I'm sorry, it's all advisory. With our investment management business, we were earning a percentage. But for doing the financial planning work, we had retainer clients or subscription model where they were paying us 50 to 150 or, sometimes a couple $100 a month. But you do enough of that, and that's enough to pay some software bills and cover some overhead and just get to the next thing.
Explain, what did that actually look like? What was that deliverable?
We go really pretty deep on what their finances are, their cash flow, their budget, their values. What's most important to them about money is one of my favorite questions to ask somebody. Yeah, because it's not an easy one to answer. Are you thinking about it right now? You shifted your chair. So it's a really hard one to answer.
It is.
And you have to dig deep and say, why is money important? Yeah. And it's okay that money is important because
I like to eat.
That's good.
Yeah. I like ribeyes.
I
just got my answer. It took a while, but
really
all right, keep going.
Ribeyes too.
Yeah. They're pretty good. But yeah, so you were meeting with them on a monthly basis, quarterly, sending them reports?
Not always. Some clients we're meeting a couple times a month to start, but there comes a point when you get your arms around what's going on with them. They get their arms around it, they get comfortable with it, and they implement some of the things you recommend. Sometimes they do all of it. Sometimes they do none of it, and they kind of, things fade. But
sure. That's cool, though. It's like a coaching model in a sense. You were a personal finance coach, to some people.
To an extent, Some people wanted help with their budget. That's hard because we're talking about behavior change.
Yeah.
And the coaching side today, I really don't have the capacity to do that level of engagement with somebody because I don't even know if I truly had it then, or even if I was doing it, if I was good at it.
Well, it probably made you better at what you're doing today, I would assume. I mean, I'm assuming you've learned how to talk to people differently, learned how to understand where they were at, and know how to go a little deeper than maybe you would if you didn't do that. Like, what's the benefits of it, though? Surely you made you better at what you do today.
I've been intentionally learning about people and how to talk to people for 15 years now, ever since I started. And I realized, even when I got in the industry, I didn't speak. One of the first things I realized was I was not speaking the language everybody else was, and that was body language. So I had to go dig really deep on that, which was interesting, and look at how to understand what people's faces are saying. And
yeah. Well, currently what Siri is saying, she can't understand your body language. I
don't understand how that popped up. But
well, something in what you said, it's wild.
Okay.
Heard Siri somehow.
That's hilarious.
I got to stop saying it. Yeah, everybody's phones listening to the podcast right now are going off. This is when you don't do this, but it's kind of funny if it's playing out loud. Hey, Alexa, play Taylor Swift Eras Tour. Sorry, everyone. It actually works. If it's on speaker, it'll just fire off their Alexas.
I presume that's super cut out. Yeah. What was our question?
We were just talking about how your financial planning service shaped you to where you're at today and what you learned. So you transitioned into body language, which I think it's fascinating because there's plenty of financial advisors, right? There's not a shortage of financial advisors, and 80% of people do business with people they like and they trust. And so you've put a lot of investment into knowing how to read people, knowing how to understand people, being able to read body language. So, and the reason you're doing that is
so I can actually understand where they're coming from, understand what their experiences, their beliefs are about money, how they interact with it, what's their relationship with money, with their spouse, with their family, growing up, what shaped where they're at today, how'd they get where they are, because that is very informative to how we might move forward with them or how they're going to move forward in life. Sometimes we usually don't spend a lot of time actually processing what our relationship with money is or how that interacts in our marriage, how that interacts with our relationships with other things. But we were created for relationship. And when we are ignoring or not taking the time to slow down and say, how are we doing this? The thing that is interesting is the more I've learned about different communication models, channels, behavior, how people work, how their minds work, how they process, how they actually engage with the world around them, the more amazed I am at how diverse everybody is, first of all. And then also how difficult it is to actually connect with somebody in a way that they receive maybe what that connection would be or receive information. Because if I say something how I say it, there's a chance the person across the table is going to get it how I intended, but it's actually a fairly low chance that they're going to interpret what I meant to communicate. And so what I found is if you're doing financial planning well, it feels very therapy adjacent. I don't do therapy. And a lot of therapy, what it boils down to is you processing things and actually unraveling what it is, unpacking it and understanding it so you can actually deal with it.
How would you define a healthy relationship with money? Or is that always different for everyone?
It's a tool. It's a resource. I think one of the best illustrations that I can think of is the parable of the stewards. So that's partially why we rebranded to StewardRight. Is there's one steward that was trusted with money. They were afraid of losing it. Like if nothing else happens, I'm not losing it. So they go like shove it under a rock or whatever and dig it back out. And they're like, see, I still have it. And then that one was, it did not end well. They took their money and that's appropriate. There's one that he did well. He did okay.
I'm sorry. I got to call my wife about something in my backyard real quick. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I know a guy, they live in a town that's like turning into a ghost town slowly, but they've been buying up these lots of like just totally abandoned proproperties. They'll go use a metal detector and find cans of cash and stuff buried in these lawns. And this little like kind of like dying ghost town of a thing. It's crazy.
So the metal detector finds the can and then there's money in the can.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Nice.
Sorry.
We're on the parable. I don't know which person we're on.
The middle.
The middle. Okay.
We'll call him the market average steward, where they go buy ETFs and rebalance to the average. You're not going to show up and say you did bad, like you did good, but I mean, I guess it's not. I mean, you could definitely look at it and say, okay, you did what the market did, and you did okay, and he did okay, so he's fine. But then there's the next steward, the one who did it, we'll say rightly, just for convenience,
He stewarded right.
Yeah, that's
Got
it.
All
Just
right.
like that. That's
Yeah.
it. And they actually, he exceeded. And then he was given even more, which is also appropriate because
How did he exceed in the parable?
he made more money.
He just
did
said
more.
he did. He did more.
He did. I mean, he
I
made
can't
more money.
remember. Yeah.
He did even better.
Yeah.
So that's great. Where was I going with that? You asked me,
Healthy relationship with
what's a
money.
healthy
like-
relationship?
Yeah.
Yeah. But in that whole parable, every single one of them were stewards.
Sure.
Okay. I think that's maybe an overlooked thing is we are stewards of what we have. It didn't cost us anything to come into this world, at least for us. And then when you die, for us, we actually don't have to pay anything personally. Now, I mean, I guess you could debate that a little bit. You got funeral costs or whatever. Somebody else is kind of paying it. But the point is, we didn't bring anything in. We don't take anything out. That's how it goes. We have responsibility over these different assets, domains, whatever, for a period of time, but it's not ours. We've been trusted with it. And what are we going to do with it?
Yeah, I like that. The not ours is a good line because it's going to stay when we leave, and it'll be someone else's. So back on that question, then when I think of that question, I probably could have elaborated. Like I feel like some people have unhealthy relationships with money based on how they steward it, and you got Dave Ramsey's, right? You've find all these personal finance coaches that are putting out a lot of good content about how to handle that. But what that balance, I think, is really hard, and it's easy to judge people when you see someone spending irresponsibly and not saving up, but yet they're enjoying the moment. And then you see people that are so frugal that they don't enjoy life at all, and they hold every last penny till they're gone. But then if the situation's right, someone else in their family maybe or someone important to them gets to steward that and enjoy that. But I just wonder, like, is there actually a wrong way, right? Ultimately, for someone and their personal health beyond just ruining themselves and the people around them.
I would say context is everything. So first of all, if you get the ownership part of it right, that makes a lot of the rest of it a lot easier.
What do you mean by that?
It's like when we start to believe that what we're trusted with is truly ours, or we're entitled to it, or we're entitled to these other things that we don't have, that's when we get it turned around. It's like, we're actually not entitled to anything. It's kind of like you get we're coming up on Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, mom, I want that. I should have that. Like, but it's like, there's a difference between being entitled to something and being given something, right?
And earning something.
Or even earning it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, well, okay.
It's another can of worms.
I'm trying not to bite on that one, but context is everything. And if you're spending beyond what you've been trusted with, you're making promises you actually can't fulfill, that's going to end poorly. If you are not maintaining your finances in a balanced way, if you're not reinvesting, you're not growing, you're not like doing more with it, all those things have consequences. So if you actually have done well, you have money that you can spend. You can use it in different ways. And then that's going to return something else.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. What personal experiences for you shaped how you look at money and risk and growth?
Money, risk, and growth.
And stewardship. Stay on that theme.
I will say I was blessed for several years when I was early in this industry because we didn't have a lot of money. It was really hard. I mean, doing a commission-only job in this industry, I didn't come into it behind any other relatives. I didn't come into some book of business. I didn't buy a book of business. I have yet to buy a book of business, which, by the way, if you want to sell a book of business, I'll gladly buy it and pay you market rate and maybe a little more, who knows. But because we do really well. And if I go paying someone what their book of business is worth and do what we do, what we've been doing, it's worth way more to me.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. back on, so I was really blessed that from the perspective of for several years, we had kids. I'm talking about the finance side. Now, the pain of having kids that had some chronic things going on medically that were tough to figure out, that was really expensive. For the first 8 years of our marriage, we added up, my first marriage, and we had about $100,000 of medical bills and insurance premiums is what we paid over that time. And we didn't have a lot of money. And that's part of what actually kept us in that cycle, was a lot of medical bills. And 50% of bankruptcies actually originate from medical debt. We did not declare, we didn't go bankrupt or anything like that, but we were in a state of dependence on God to where we were just praying. We're like, hey, cell phone bills due. We don't know where it's going to come from. There were several times that just checks on the day that we needed money showed up in the mail. Like we go to the mailbox. One time it was like $300 or $400 of checks that came from some settlement of Sophie apparently ran our credit without us having any knowledge of it. And there was a class action lawsuit against it like a couple years prior, I think. And, so we got settlement checks out of that. They went to pay our bills that we desperately needed.
Yeah.
And there was a couple other times like somehow in accounting, I don't know how it works, but we got checks back from doctor's bills we'd paid from a few years before. We had apparently overpaid. I don't know how, we just paid bills, but it was really amazing how God actually met us where we were financially. And I came to learn dependence on the Lord with that. And that's something that is still with me today, even though I'm in a very different financial place, but that dependence is absolutely still there. And it's not out of my own effort. It's in partnership with just my walk with God. And that's who I am. And, everyone's got to figure that out for themselves of how they get there. But I do appreciate the gift of the struggle and the gift of dependence that is learned in time, that you can't just learn it like in a flash of a pan. Like you've got to surrender to that. And answer your question?
Well, and I would say yes. And then the final part of that is how has that shaped you into being better at what you do? Essentially being a good steward, a good financial advisor, that struggle, sounds like gratefulness, your understanding of your relationship with God and money, right, is a balanced part of it. But how has that made you manage risk differently today?
Manage risk. If we look at maybe that's maybe a tough transition.
You can go into,
I'll share maybe what comes to mind is if we look at the different buckets of money that we have, think of those as stewards. So there's the steward of, it doesn't do anything. So that's cash count. It has a purpose. Okay. So there is a purpose to having cash, having liquidity that's not
emergency fund
bumping up and down all the time and doing its thing to actually go to work and grow. So we need some of that, but too much of that is actually bad. Or if you're not willing to take any risk on anything, your money's not going to grow.
Yeah.
You're going to be missing out on a lot of money. It's not even the starting point of that growth curve. It's the end years that you're missing out on. So if you shove that curve out and you die here and you didn't, well, now by the time you're here and it's anyways, the point is, it's the back end of the compounding growth that you wind up missing out on. And if you're not fine tuning it to what you actually need and what serves you best,
if you don't take risk early on,
well, I don't love the word risk. It's reality. Like there is risk.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about even when somebody is 60 years old, there's a great chance they're going to live to 90.
Sure.
That's 3 decades.
It's a long time.
Yeah. If somebody has most of their money very conservatively, their risk is going to be running out of money if they're actually depending on it. Now, and that's because they're statistically
going to live a long time.
Well, there's that, but they're guaranteeing that they're not going to catch the kind of compounding growth they can get over time. when we run our statistical analysis and financial planning on, we call it a Monte Carlo analysis, where it runs 1,000 random samples of what's happening with their portfolio. We found that, well, there's a lot of disclosure with this, but I'll just say more often than not, more equity or more stocks in somebody's portfolio tends to do better.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't have enough money for them to actually retire, it's probably still going to statistically do better because it'll at least last longer. But for 30 years, if you're going to lock in, say, a 4.5% bond rate for half your portfolio, if you really needed that much to survive, it's just not going to last, is just a practical matter. But if you have more in the stocks or the equity piece, then it's going to give you a better shot, so long as it's being managed well, or even just market average rates. It's going to go better because that's still 3 decades or so. That's still 30 years. People don't really think about that. They're like, oh yeah, retirement age. Like, so you retire and then soon enough you die. It's like, hopefully not. There's actually still a long time left most of the time. So I do look differently at it. The first place I started with, or the first couple places, there was often this sense from the compliance department of, well, they're old, they need to be more conservative. It's like, well, does that really fit them or serve them well? And sometimes not so much. So we do financial planning to actually dial the numbers in and look at what fits them. None of this is financial advice, by the way. I'm not giving any financial, legal, investment advisory advice over this podcast. We only do it in the context of a plan engagement letter or advisory letter engagement. So yeah,
Perfect.
great.
Great disclosure. Yeah. Yeah. And again, to everybody else listening to this is somebody that's been in the industry, just giving his outside personal perspective.
Painting with a very broad brush right now.
Very broad brush. Yeah. And you're doing great. But no, that makes a lot of sense. It's kind of embarrassing when you said 60 to 90 is 30 years. In my head, my gut reaction was like, nah, like being 35 years old. And then I'm like, oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Just like, I feel like once you turn 60, then it's just kind of all together. But that's a long time.
It is.
If they retired at 60.
Your money still has to last a long time.
That's like your whole career, a second time of either you're retired or you're still working.
Yeah.
Yeah, your money does have to last
30
long time.
years.
And it's getting so expensive. Talk about that, because you're helping people think about that, right, in the future. And, you know, my sister and I are making jokes with mom and dad about like, okay, do we have this figured out? And, you know, we're talking about long-term care policies. Should we be investing in that? And, you know, they're not near that age. But the cost of it, I just wonder how many people, millennial and under, especially Gen Z, are they going to be able to retire? How's that going to work? Because everything is so expensive.
I've asked Gen Z, and they just kind of stare at me blankly. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. They just
No, that
text
happened when I was getting a coffee a couple times. But
yeah. Point blank. You asked him to get you a... I'm not...
No, sorry. There's this Gen Z stare thing because they need to learn more social skills. They need to get out and interact with people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a generation that's being raised on
but
social media communication. But to that point, it's all getting really expensive. And I think the way people planned and what they thought would work, I know I'm looking at it now and I'm like, oh, it's already double what I thought it was going to be 10 years ago. As far as what I need and my wife will need to where we're not a burden to our kids, it's going to look really different. And obviously, depending on what lifestyle you want in retirement, that all looks different. But this up and coming generation and the way the market's trending, like what's your prediction and what would that be? 50? We're talking 50 years from now, they're all retiring to 40 to 50 years. Maybe.
If we look back a little bit generationally, there was the greatest generation that Tom Brokaw kind of self-labeled.
Right.
They went through a lot. They worked really hard. Really, really hard. Okay. And then generation, and then they're like, well, that was difficult. okay, let's set our kids up better than we are. And then, or, actually greatest generation taught hard work to the next one. And then we're really the next one in the millennial category. And there's Gen Xers and millennials.
Gen X
But
just kinda
there's a
disappeared.
progression of, well, I want to set my kids better up than we had it. The reality is all of us, down to a very low standard of living, have it better than the greatest generation did. You look at if you want to measure wealth by what we have a NASA beating supercomputer in our pockets now. We have amazing access to wealth that we do not appreciate because we are swimming in it. If you visited a third world country and seen an encampment of essentially orphans and like just trying to survive, like you're like, this is really different. It's like, yeah, we live in a bubble. We really do. Even our homeless have it very well. They have a place that they can go sleep securely at night if they want to here I say here in Wichita, but in Wichita.
Yeah.
They're fed. And if there's kids in that situation, the state will not let it happen. They will place those kids with somebody, somewhere, to be taken care of. That is not the case around the world. But at the end of the day, there's a progression of entitlement that it might reach an endpoint that's not good. And we have to work and be productive. Technology is not going to take away all the jobs. Now, it may take care of some jobs, but it's going to create more. That's all that's happened to this point, ever since we got rid of the horse for a car.
Yeah.
Or whatever you want to point at, the horses for a tractor to a tractor that drives itself.
The horseshoe
Tons of
maker found another job.
Industries we couldn't have imagined have come to pass.
Yep.
So
you're in a place of, when we talk about AI, obviously it's this transition with technology. The part I don't understand with Elon saying the wealth is about to be unreal for everyone. Like the AI is going to create wealth we've never seen before. And knowing that, I struggle to see I think everyone says horse to car right now, and I don't think this is anything like that. And more along the lines of I don't see with the robots. My buddy just pre-ordered his robot that's coming next year.
Cool.
And it was I'll think of the name in a little bit, but it's $20,000 or $500 a month. It loads the dishwasher, it vacuums the house, it moves stuff around, it puts the laundry away. It's a housekeeper essentially for $500 a month. That's there every day. It brings your coffee. It, can play music. It kind of becomes your assistant, and then you can train it with an Oculus. So you can put your Oculus on, connect to it, and say, I'm going to teach it a new task.
Huh.
And that part's working right now. And they're like delivering those next year.
Wild.
So let's say all that comes into play. And my background, service industry, right? So if we don't have employees cleaning buildings at our cleaning company, and then we have robots cleaning, then yes, there'll still be jobs to maintain all that. But how many people does it take to manage hundreds of robots? Or, the human ratio to AI combined with robotics, it's fascinating. Mm-hmm. Does that mean all the wealth goes to the people who own things, right? Does all the wealth go to the business owners that replace employees? And then how does that get redistributed? We just went on like a sci-fi tangent, but it's kind of like here. It's coming.
My car drove me here.
Right. Model X.
And what was great is I was able to carry on a couple of meaningful conversations with a guy who works in my office and then another guy who's on the job hunt. But I got the time back instead of it being kind of given to travel, which isn't the worst thing. If I could just stare at out in front of me and think, that's great too. Okay. But the bottom line is our valuable things are valuable. Whether that's something that we create and it's an object, it's a possession that does it for us, it's a tool, or somebody is creating it. It's valuable that can't be replaced. your friendship,
Sure.
you, or you.
Or you, Tyler.
Fourth wall break.
Fourth wall break. Perfect.
But
it's funnier when you say
relationships can't be replaced. If I have a choice between meeting with someone in person, there's a higher level exchange in that meeting than over video, over the phone, over text message, over Snapchat, which I don't even use. But the digital, we lose so much.
Agreed.
But when you can have a face-to-face interaction with somebody and build relationship and connect, that's not going away. I hope.
No, I think relationship-based business and B2B relationship stuff, I think a lot of things are going to stay the same. They're going to get crazy efficient, and there'll be some low-level stuff that goes away, right, for automation efficiencies. But in that scenario that I'm saying, if that's what happens, and then there's so much profit for people who own things, right? People that own companies that can afford this technology to come in and make them more efficient, provide a better experience to the consumers quicker. Imagine pulling into a garage mechanic, you go to a mechanic shop and you just pull in, scans the car, robot changes out the part, you're out. There's some illustrations of that are not far away. Do you just tax all the business owners and all the service providers hard for everybody that can't find work or find an opportunity?
Well,
that's the part where my brain gets stuck. I'm like, okay, if all this plays out like Elon's saying, how does that wealth get distributed?
It's not going to play out like that.
Yeah.
It won't. Because if work is a gift, and I don't think the people that actually surrender to giving that up will die.
It's pretty common in retirement if you don't have something after.
Retirement, unemployment, whatever it is, if you don't have purpose, your body will begin to, if you don't have purpose in here, like you don't find what your purpose is, or you ignore it, or you're living outside of it to an extent where you believe you have no purpose, your body is going to catch the hint and you're going to self-destruct and die. For us to have everything done for us, handed to us, it's like you've seen that cartoon WALL-E.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
That's
the joke.
We
all can't wait to
chubby
get in our
folks being like hovered around and sucking down milkshakes all day, and their bones have disintegrated.
Yeah.
But like that's just it. We were created for relationship. We were created for work. Mm-hmm. We were given the garden to manage at the very beginning. That's not going to change. I got this little round robot that vacuums our floor at 4 a.m. I get security alerts from my my camera system or whatever in there that's keeping an eye on the place, my little security guard, or multiple of them. But if I forget to put our camera stand over, it attacks our camera stand that we use for a webcam and knocks it over, and and then it stops working. But we're still gonna have plenty of stuff to manage.
Oh, yeah.
We're still gonna have things that we're responsible for that we're gonna have to maintain. The more little gadgets we have, guess what? They break.
Mm-hmm. I like the we're made to work relationship, and that's just in our identity. And I do believe I like going down this doomsday line of thought because it's cool to see what comes out of people. So that's a really good answer. I think fast forward, people always create things to do ultimately, because I think you're right. You nailed it on the head. It's in our DNA. We want to create things. We want to build things. There's maintainers, there's builders, right? There's both in our DNA in the workforce, we've got both sides, and they're going to keep doing that. I don't know what it'll look like, but they'll do that, and hopefully we can solve a lot of bigger problems because we have a lot of time on our hands. Think about that. The medical breakthroughs that could happen. I just think there could be a lot of good stuff to happen. And then, maybe just with that downtime, we should just start figuring out how we're going to fight them off when they decide to, take over.
If you think about one of the things that Elon, I think he's talked about this, is how many geniuses we have that are carrying a pail of water from their water source back to their village several miles a day, and that's all they get to do.
Yeah.
There's that scale of unlocking potential that's there. Mm-hmm. There's another scale of if we all have the ability and the time to actually focus on what matters most, and that can be anything from the relationship with your family to those you serve. But I think it's going to be amazing when we continue to elevate our ability to function and our ability to be productive. You can look at so many things today and say, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But we're just getting started.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the next 10 years, Tyler says it all the time. We were saying 10 years, and now it's like, no, the next 5 years are going to be insane. It's not even a 10-year conversation now. How is AI automation, predictive modeling, how is all of that affecting financial advisory, the stock exchange? What's that influence look like? I know it's been around for a long time in different ways, but with all this coming through now.
That's awesome.
Talk about that.
So I was just talking with Lyndon on the drive here, a lot of rambling, but we were talking about how there's this, like when you designate an IRA to be passed through a trust and there's a pass-through trust, he's like, I remember doing this one thing. It was really painful because it's really convoluted and it's not straightforward. And if you don't do it a lot, then you quickly forget what you did.
Okay.
But with how we use AI, we have our little company level setup and we go in there and we, hey, help spell this out, how this works. And so our ability to get information that's relevant, that used to be quite siloed and hard to access even for us to go track down, okay, I got to find somebody who knows, because if I call Schwab, it doesn't, I don't know who I'm going to get. And they may or may not know because this isn't very common. So it's kind of like roll the dice on if we can even on how to get it figured out. But AI has really changed our level of access to specialized knowledge, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
It has increased our productivity. So we spend way less time on things that are not as valuable. It's allowed us to do things that aren't necessarily ultra valuable from a core business function, but there are things that need to be done, like communication, writing stuff up. There are so many things that we've been empowered and enabled to do a lot more with a lot less and just be more efficient. There's other things that we're starting to work on within our investment research, where I think that we can, oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
Got
You're not going to mess anything
a slight cold today.
Yeah. That would have been great.
I thought you were.
I was thinking about doing is
cool.
opening the water and just pouring it out and looking at you. Three
Wow.
Amigos, one big drink and then do. You ever seen Three Amigos? Yeah. You should watch it. Then the reference will make sense.
There's this modern marvel called Adderall.
Adderall. So let's go back to predictive modeling. So you talked about the core business functions, which is great, internally, how it helps you guys be better at your job. How is it being used? How do you see it being used in simply predicting the next trade and making trades and understanding where a company's going to be, right? There's so much scraping happening now.
Okay, so all I'm going to say with that, because I don't want to give away some of the things that we're working on, somebody else can figure it out. And if their compliance department's going to let them do it, good for them. I'm not saying it shouldn't be allowed. I'm just saying I anticipate a lot of resistance in the bigger organizational structures, because they're going to want to keep really tight tabs on what's happening when you got multiple layers in between the top and the bottom and whatever. But yeah, we're working on figuring out how we can leverage expanding our abilities. It's kind of like within the world of financial planning, we can get a lot of help really fast, or at least do kind of dummy checks in different ways of are we totally off base here? Are we in the ballpark? And, put something in there and let it do some fairly or incredibly complex math really fast, and just kind of foolproof it, or at least double check.
Yeah.
Okay. Just are we in the right direction here, or what are we missing? And it helps to generate different ideas. But when it comes to the stock selection investment, it's really hard to get some of that stuff going and talking or to figure out how to make use of it. But that is one of our next projects, is to think about what's the word? Not, like RoboCop. What do you call that?
Yeah.
Well,
Like the movie?
yeah.
RoboCop? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're like part human, part machine.
Oh, gotcha. A cyborg?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Investing in cyborg department or whatever.
Yeah.
But but we can really multiply
Right.
what we know, and if you can figure out how to leverage that, that's great.
Sure. On that note, you've got all these, I am assuming, right? You've got all these Gen Z people that are on Robinhood, different exchanges like that are obviously probably going to incorporate, I'm assuming, a lot of advisors and AI tools that are going to automate things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you see that playing out the next 20 years? Are they taking market share from your traditional advisors, or are they not?
If it works, they will.
Yeah.
I'd say, just throwing a number out, I bet 98% of this industry has advisors that, they buy ETFs, mutual funds, generally asset allocate to average. And that's the second steward that's doing fine. You're not going to show up and say, you did a bad job. Bad dog. No, you're not going to say that. But you're going to say, yeah, that's good. And that's good. But when you start setting average up against maybe pockets of above average or maybe significantly above average, then that's where it's going to gravitate to. And so competition's going to go up. And if you're in average, you may still be okay.
Yeah.
But competition will increase. And it's not going to, I think it is going to take away from that market once people start to realize that the mantra of buy and hold index funds is the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, look at who is the source of a lot of that teaching. It's really big companies that have so much money. If they actually actively traded across the entire amount of money they're managing, our markets would be wild. It'd be way up, way down. It'd be all over the place.
Hmm.
So they can't compete that way.
Yeah.
Because they just move it around too much. They just move it back and forth and back and forth.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a little over my head, to be honest. So you're saying when they're all essentially doing the same thing, so it keeps the market stable.
There's a lot of the market that is
It would cost
more or less is what it is.
Right.
Okay. Buying and holding, and just you have it. Okay.
Yeah.
Those shares are held. But if there's a high percentage of shares trading back and forth, that's really disruptive to markets.
Volatility, they don't want. They want stability.
For the masses,
Yeah.
to hold money and just get average,
Yeah.
that's actually really good for a lot of people. And it's actually good for people that are doing a lot of trading. You want some action,
Yeah.
but you don't want just wild action.
You don't want like
because
crypto action.
then people lose confidence in the market itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what happens in crypto.
And that's not worth as much.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That makes sense. Talk about the personal advisors. I think a lot of people think it's just who they like, their family member, right? They've got a brother-in-law, someone that they went to high school with. That might be all the decision-making that really happens most of the time, I'm assuming, like when you pick a financial advisor, which seems tough, right? Like it seems hard. I've been to a lot of networking events. It seems like a tough business to, like, once you get in there, then the referrals can happen. But what is StewardRight's approach, and how do you think about that for people when you meet someone that's like, they've got like a lifetime friend, no idea if they're doing the best they can do for them. Like, what's that conversation look like?
My internal conversation or my conversation with them?
With them, yeah.
Okay.
Because obviously you're not a hard sales guy, but you offer service and you want it to be you you want to be able to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. First of all, I show them the pictures I've taken of their children. No. And I'm not here to break up a friendship or a family ship. You know, I don't, that's not what I'm here for. I get that. And if that's what you want, and giving up hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars of future growth is worth that friendship to you, that they're not going to turn around and just like hand you that money that you didn't make. Yeah. If that's what it's worth, cool.
And on that note, for people that are, especially people that are rolling over, they're going through some transition or they're moving, right? So it's an easier out, right? They're relocating. Yeah. So in my mind, like, you go somewhere else, it's a little bit easier to change a relationship, especially if you're wanting to anyway. What would you say? I want to say this the right way. What do you think is the most overlooked thing beyond what you just talked about? What's the most overlooked thing, like in the advisor space, but matters the most? And you don't have to nail it on the head, but I'm just curious, like from your experience, what's the most common thing you see that is missed amongst your peers?
For clients?
Yeah, on behalf of clients.
We're relatively young in our active management model. We've been doing it for around a year and a half at this point. It's gone really well. It's gone a lot better than I thought it would, but now our set point is much higher. So
what does that mean?
We have higher expectations than average.
Got it.
We're clear to our clients that if we are not at least beating the market average index for you, fire us.
Yeah.
So we want that accountability with our clients, that if they're paying us to professionally steward and invest their money, they should get more than what they pay.
Because they could just stick it in an ETF and not have a management fee.
I'm glad you kept talking after you said stick it.
Me too. That makes both of us. They could place it, right? They could self-invest in the S&P 500 and never look at it and do nothing and not pay a fee.
Yeah, right.
So why else would they hire an advisor if they're not going to do better than that? Besides financial planning, I know you guys have all the other values.
That's why I started my firm was really with a financial planning focus. And then after we were able to get to a point organizationally where we had enough admin staff to help with things and we're maturing organizational structure wise, finally had enough room to hire somebody to come in and start doing the focus on the portfolio to make that leap to active management, which in some ways it's kind of a scary leap for us, because once you turn that key, it's hard to turn it off. When you start managing individual positions, you've got to keep tabs on, in our case, like we run in the ballpark of 30 to 40 positions at a time. So you're always watching those. Some of them you watch more carefully than others, but then there's like, okay, what are we going to get out of? What are we going to get into? How are those setting up? How is sector rotation looking? But it's a whole thing, which is why most firms aren't set up to do it, because there are some advisors who like to do their own management of their own client base. They want to be the hero, but the reality is we have time constraints, and that's a lot to watch if you're really going to keep tabs on it. So I think what gets missed most often is advisors buy into what we bought into. I was trained up in the industry this way of, hey, don't try to be a hero. Let money managers manage money. You go manage relationships. You go get clients, get them in here. And then you help them make their selections of what they're going to do, ETF or mutual fund, or, depending on the company, variable annuities, which I really can't stand. And or equity index annuities, which are even worse. They're the devil of our industry.
They're the devil.
Not accepting average.
Yeah, that's good. I like that authenticity to provide evidence of, like, you deserve this, and fire us if we don't perform. That's clear expectations.
We hold ourselves to it. We want our clients to hold us to it.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I want our clients to appreciate it too, so they refer us more people.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And that's how it should work. Like, hey, these guys work. And that's what I appreciate about you is that you're always changing. Every time I meet with you, you're always thinking outside of the box. And I feel like in your industry, it's pretty easy to be complacent and just be a salesman and not think about how to make things better and improve things on the client side. I think that'd be really easy to do, to be complacent in your industry. And I think it's awesome how you're not. Like, and compliance is hard. Marketing is hard for you, right? Like, it is a difficult, you can only say so much. And I appreciate how much you're trying to figure out how to get your name out there and provide value to people, because it's a long-term thing that you're doing. And I think when you put yourself out there and you make claims like that, it's pretty easy to be judged too. And so that takes some.
Oh, who's this hot shot? It's like, it's
right.
not
That
about
takes
that.
right.
It's about,
it comes
there
off.
is a mindset that's been accepted
Right.
and pushed
Yeah.
that I don't think is totally right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not it can come off like a sleazy thing to people within the
Arrogance,
industry,
yeah.
I'm sure. If you
Or
make
sleazy,
these
yeah.
big,
whatever.
But on your side, you're like, no, this is just who we are. This is what we're building.
We've been doing client reviews because we're coming up on the end of the year. We're talking about Roth conversions, because Roth conversions are like gold when you're in a high growth situation. And our client reviews, they've been very, very, very happy.
Good.
And that's a phenomenal feeling. But for as much as someone wants to say, oh yeah, well, what are they really doing? Or what do they really know? Or like, that'll be fun to watch them flame out. It's like,
Right.
You know what? Our clients love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, that's got to be hard, especially when you decide to break the norm.
oh, I don't know that anyone's actually saying that. I'm just saying, like, yeah, but it's hard to market, because if we're trying to say, hey, here's what we actually do that's different, that's probably not going to be accepted for as long as somebody has an inner circle person that they're just committed to.
Right.
But if we approach relationally and we start where everyone else does, it's like, okay, but here's what actually is different.
Yeah. I mean, just society as a whole functions that way. When someone says they're going to do it better, that brings out a lot of critics, no matter what you're doing. Like, and you just have to be okay with
It's
that.
fine.
Because you truly believe in helping people. What's your vision for StewardRight over the next decade?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
We're going to keep growing.
Yeah.
We're looking at, we filled up our Wichita office space. We have an office out in Pagosa Springs as well, where we have a couple employees, and looking at some office space to put an office kind of on the east side of town. We have one downtown. Yeah, we're gonna keep growing.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it's gonna look like, but we're gonna keep doing better and growing and helping more people.
Yeah. Well, thanks for hanging out.
Yeah.
This was great. I learned a lot. I've got a lot of questions in my mind now.
Cool.
We'll put them in. A lot of things went over my head. We're gonna have another chat.
Put them in the comments, Sam.
Yeah, there you go. I'll do that. And full transparency to anybody listening, if there's pieces cut out of this, we're gonna let Mike review this for compliance reasons, because you have a fiduciary responsibility.
I'm in a regulated industry, and they don't like me implying promises or whatever. So I guess what I'll just say now is we are registered Kansas, Colorado, potentially soon we're notice filed in Texas, but we have an application in Texas. And this is we're in December 2025. Mm-hmm. So at the time of recording, any kind of implied promises of performance or anything like that, just nix it out of your mind. Not the case. Like we can't promise anything.
Yeah.
And we tell our clients this too. Because even when we have a really good year, like, hey, we're going to try again next year, but I don't know, like, hey, if it keeps working, it keeps working.
Yeah.
That's great.
This is what happened. Here's our strategy.
Yeah.
And we hope it keeps happening. No, I think you did a good job. I didn't hear anything in there, but that's just more let everybody know if they see gaps, and we'll put a little thing on the screen of like, this could be considered this, and then we'll put your disclaimer on. But again, thank you. I've already taken too much of your time, but this was fun. This was
It was
good.
fun. Thanks for having me on, Sam.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Mike.